We've been talking about it for a week, and heavy rain has returned right on schedule into the eastern states. I'm AccuWeather.com's Evan Myers, and I'm joined by Elliot Abrams. Elliot, the specter of flooding is rearing its ugly head again. We have this storm system that we've talked about that's just going to stay spinning around in the Midwest and the eastern states for a week, and here it is. And talk about what you see in front of you right here on this map.
Well, we see there an enhanced flood risk along the eastern seaboard. It's not as simple as that, though, because there are several areas where the rainfall is heavier, other places where it's lighter, and this is going to change character through the weekend and into earlier next week. Now, the best way of avoiding a serious flood situation would be for each new area of rain to set up in a slightly different place than the previous ones. The opposite side of that is that when you have a system in place for 4 or 5 days, there's a real possibility that there can be repeated heavy rains in the same places, and those places can get quite a bit of water.
Well, let's take a look at this. You can see that the storm's spinning around, and you see this rain moving northward. Different areas. Here's one corridor of rain. Elliot, you talked about different areas. Here's another one. Here's this area branching off in this direction. Let's actually get a little bit closer and look at that. So why don't you describe what you see there? And really the thing, as you mentioned, Elliot, how's that going to change? How's that going to change character over the course of Friday and into Friday night and Saturday morning? Obviously, we want folks to stay tuned and check their latest radar, but what's going to happen over the next 24 hours at least?
Let's look at right now across New Jersey, for example. You see that area of rain is heading straight north and it's heading to the New York City area, and south of it, though, in Delaware, the rain has actually stopped. So if that trend continues, it rains for a while heavily, and then it actually stops. Now let's look at the part from Washington back into the North Carolina-Virginia border area. In that area, the rain is more or less moving parallel with the way that the rain is falling pretty much in the direction that it's moving. In other words, it continues raining at the same places over and over again rather than shifting northward. Those places are in for some flooding this afternoon. And then you see where it changes shape again down in North Carolina. That area is likely to move northeastward and cause some showers southeast of the places where it's currently raining. So that's complicated. Then there's that other band that's from western Lake Erie down through Ohio. The reason for that being there is there's actually a front that is sitting in eastern Ohio and Kentucky, separating southeast winds from the ocean on the east side of it from northerly winds on the west side. And so that feature is going to be there all weekend too, as it meanders back and forth west and east.
And Elliot, anytime you get a situation like this where you get really a flow cut off from the rest of the mainstream, the main flow in the upper atmosphere, you get a storm spinning around, all kinds of funky things happen. The dry air circulates in, moist air circulates in, and you get this banding as you talked about, and it sets up in all kinds of different places, and it is kind of weird. But what makes all this even worse is the fact that this is the way, here we are on Friday, here we are on Sunday, and then here we are early next week. The common theme is this low pressure area that doesn't seem to move a lot. It meanders one way or another way, and that's the main problem.
And as long as it sits there, more of these pulses of energy can come around it, cause an enhancement of rainfall, and then it goes by, the rain stops for a while, and then new rain comes along. And normally we'll see one of these things last maybe a couple of days, or maybe it'll weaken considerably over a couple of day period. This is actually still strengthening and moving very, very slowly. And so until it leaves later next week, the places from there eastward are vulnerable to getting heavy rain like we're showing right there.
Well, here we go. We're talking about 3 to 6 inches of rainfall potential from Boston to New York City, down the I-95 corridor, Trenton, Princeton, down to Philadelphia, Wilmington, even toward Washington, Baltimore. This is certainly very unwelcome, and even in the areas west of there, here when we're looking at 1 to 3 inches of rain, there could even be more than that. It's right. A mess.
There could be more than that, and in fact, if we would redraw this just based on what we saw on that map before, we would draw it farther west.
That's right.
The question is that true, or is it going to redevelop farther to the east? Also, we would draw another area of heavy rain back there in western Ohio, eastern Indiana, and parts of Michigan from that second band that's going to sit there all day today and this evening.
So it's a mess. You want to stay tuned here on AccuWeather.com. We're going to keep you updated throughout the course of not only today, but throughout the course of the weekend. You can, of course, follow along on your own whenever you want to by checking on to AccuWeather.com. We'll have lots of videos, lots of stories, The main thing to remember is because the streams and the rivers are already high in the east because of all the rainfall that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, you don't need as much rain to cause flooding as you might normally see. The ground is very saturated, so the same holds true for flash flooding.
And we're not just saying this about watching us again just for promotional purposes here. The whole thing, this is such a complicated situation that what we assume is happening, say, at 11 o'clock one morning may not be in effect anymore at 2 or 3 that afternoon. So we have to keep on top of it the entire weekend. It's a very tense situation, really, weather-wise.
So stay with us here on AccuWeather.com. You know we'll stay with you. Follow along only on AccuWeather.com.